OBJ just signed with the Ravens. Does that mean Lamar stays? All that and a little bit more on this episode of the Jenks and Hammer podcast.
Welcome to the Jenks and the Hammer podcast. Bringing you the latest NFL news and insights from the perspectives of two die-hard fans. Join your hosts, Grayson Jenkins and John Hammerly, as they dive deep into the world of football, along with a special focus on the New Orleans Saints and the Green Bay Packers. So sit back, relax, and get ready for some football talk with Jenks and the Hammer.
Hey, here we go!
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Jenks and the Hammer podcast, episode 8. Sorry we wouldn't film on Sunday. We were a little busy, but we got a good one for you guys today. We're going to be breaking down the tight ends and the linebackers in this upcoming draft. We're going to kind of do it differently because we feel like it's kind of long, and it's a lot for us to break down 8 players. So what we're going to do is we're going to rank the top 4 for each position now coming up. So top 4 linebackers and tight ends coming today, and we're going to talk about this Odell Beckham signing. That really came out of nowhere, so let's get right into it.
All right, so the big breaking news recently this week in the NFL was OBJ signing with the Ravens. It kind of came from nowhere. I mean, John and I talked about it a little bit on this podcast about Ravens needing a receiver. Lamar Jackson, is he leaving? Is he staying? This deal means a lot for the team, and it could change basically their franchise this year because Lamar could now stay. Really anything could happen. So OBJ signed a 1-year, up to $18 million contract with a $13 million, just under $14 million signing bonus right off the bat, over a $1 million base signing, and then $3 million in incentives, which he can earn. So this deal was a lot more than what a bunch of teams are willing to pay. I think it was Ribert. He wanted 20 mil. Then it came down to 15 mil on Twitter, everything like that. But no team was really, I never saw any news that any team was really willing to pay that for him. So I know he was about to visit the Jets. Like, that was the news. He's going to the Jets to visit them on Wednesday or Tuesday, whatever it was, which day.
Yeah.
And then the day before, he posted on Instagram a picture of his kid wearing a
Lamar
Ravens
Jackson
jersey.
Yeah. But that was the big thing. Everyone thought he was, like, the Jets were the contender.
Yeah.
They were the leading contender. And he was flying, so he was flying to New York to go meet with them. And I think Ravens just came back with this offer and was just like, here's your money, let's go. They didn't, because they felt like once he hopped on that jet and landed in New York, that it was going to be a done deal.
Jet, yeah.
Because that was the favorite. So, overpaid, but when you want him bad and you think that's your guy, and, you just gotta get the deal done.
Yeah, I'm interested because they paid him so much. Like, they paid OBJ like a ridiculous amount for what other teams are willing to pay for him. And now Lamar, is he going to still get a big contract? I'm wondering if they think, now that we have a weapon for him, he'll want to stay. They can sign him to a little bit less of a deal, maybe a little bit less guaranteed than what he wanted originally. So I think this deal really changes a lot all around for the Lamar situation. OBJ now coming in would be the number 1 for him. Rashad Bateman could be healthy. He could have a solid number 2. Mark Andrews is still there. They have the weapons. It's just up to Lamar now. Is he still going to stay? He could still be traded somewhere else. They could trade him, get a young quarterback with a young draft pick, and have OBJ for that.
I don't think so, though.
No, I'm not saying
so.
For sure. I think OBJ today said that he didn't get any 100% assurances from Lamar that he's going to be the Ravens quarterback this year, but they were talking with each other throughout this whole process, and they feel like they came together to like join this team. So I feel like he's going to come back, but it's still a possibility, like I said.
Yeah, Lamar definitely, recruited him a little bit. And the other big thing, like when this all happened, like, we didn't really know that he was in contact with Lamar. Like when it first happened, we were like, whoa, that's a lot of money. Ravens, kind of random. Jets were the favorite. So you were thinking like, this doesn't really make sense because the Lamar trade kind of seems like a lock. Like, does Odell just want a payday? Does he just want the role to be like the number 1 receiver? You just like, where's he at? I mean, he's not really maybe chasing that ring anymore because he won one with the Rams. And then, then you find out Lamar, has been talking to him. And, now it sounds like Lamar Jackson's going to be the QB now. So, yeah, it changed a lot. And, I think Lamar's going to be back with the Ravens.
Yeah, and they were already spotted partying the night of the signing. I think they were in Miami partying together. So I think it
yeah.
means a lot. I think he's going to come back. So huge for Ravens
Yeah.
fans all around.
Yeah, definitely. And then the big one, Dan Snyder. He's almost reached an agreement to sell the Commanders for $6 billion to a group led by the Philadelphia 76ers co-owner Josh Harris. So part of that team is billionaire Mitchell Rails and former NBA star Magic
Yeah,
Johnson.
Magic.
So
Yeah, somewhere
yeah,
Ned's rejoicing right now wherever he is.
yeah,
So
he's happy.
I think all
Yeah,
Commanders fans are rejoicing. They've been under such a terrible ownership for however many years now, and they haven't earned anything from it. They had that hope with RG3 coming in, however, like what was it, 11 years ago now, probably. They had
yeah,
that hope, and it turned out to be nothing. And then Ned said how they were thinking about trading the second overall pick for Kirk Cousins. That didn't happen. And who knows? It could not have been due to Dan Snyder, but you see their stadium falling apart. He doesn't care about the stadium. It's literally falling apart at the hinges. You've seen multiple games where sewage is falling out from the roofs above them. They're not doing anything about it. Fans almost crushed Jalen Hurts. Like, what was it, 2 years ago? The stadium's falling apart. Dan Snyder wasn't doing anything about it. The team itself was falling apart. Dan Snyder wasn't doing anything about it. So with Josh Harris coming in and this new group of ownership, hopefully they turn the team around, and it's a good hope for Commanders fans.
yeah. I mean, like Ned said, I think Commanders were just hoping for anyone else but him. So
Yeah.
Commanders fans are very happy. And another big thing is the draft. Since we last spoke to you, since we last did the QB rankings, a lot of stuff has changed. Back then, 2-3 weeks ago, we kind of thought C.J. Stroud was the number one QB going to Carolina, and now it's kind of changed. Now it sounds like Bryce Young is going to be a lock at number one.
Yeah, I forgot who it was, but I think someone today even said it's guaranteed. It's basically a lock at this point that Bryce Young's the first quarterback taken off the board, and C.J. Stroud's going on a visit there. Actually, no, he's going to visit to Houston now, I think. But his time in Carolina, like you said, in that episode where we talked about quarterbacks, the coaches or Josh McCown said to him, "Hey, when you're here in Carolina or whatever, they're gonna have fun, whatever they were talking about." But that's so interesting seeing that happen, and then all this come out that Bryce Young's basically locked there. So it could have been smoke.
Yeah.
It could have been a smoke screen for the Panthers. Also talking to CJ
but it's
Stroud,
Josh McCown. He's got no say.
Yeah, he doesn't really have any say. So
whatever. Yeah, but yeah, it's interesting, and we're about 2 weeks away, right? 2-3 weeks away, and it's probably gonna flip flop a couple more times too. Like it always does. It's gonna be interesting how it plays out. So with that being said, with Bryce Young, saying he's a lock for number one, there's now reports coming out by ESPN that Houston, they're not in love with C.J. Stroud, they're not in love with Anthony Richardson or Will Levis, so they could go Will Anderson at number two. So that shakes up the whole draft kind of. Where do these other guys fall? You know what I mean? If C.J. Stroud drops to 3, what teams trade up to go get him?
Yeah.
Does Atlanta? Do the Raiders? Do the Colt? You know what I mean? It's just
it'd be a
crazy.
trading frenzy for sure. And another thing, if they pick Will Anderson at 2, they still have that number 12 pick. They could pick a non-quarterback there, and then in the in the mid-second round, or they could trade up. They could get Hendon Hooker, late first round or late second round, wherever he falls. They could get him as a guy who's injured right now, but he could become healthy. Who a lot of NFL teams have as their number 3 quarterback on their big board, on their draft board. So, it's a huge thing to come up this close to the draft.
It's gonna be interesting. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting with that 12 pick too. Do they want to trade up, with that pick and go take a QB, use number 2 on the best defense player in the draft, off the edge? I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. You know what? And I don't get it. I like C.J. Stroud a lot. He was my number 1 guy. I think he's the most pro ready. I think Young's got the upside and he's more talented and everything, but I think C.J. Stroud is more NFL ready.
Yeah, and
with the size and his ability.
Yeah, exactly.
But what if C.J. Stroud goes 2, number 12, you get, offensive, line protection for him, or you get JSN, his teammate.
Yeah.
That would be disgusting.
And the whole thing with Bryce Young is his size, like you said. Like if he gets hit and he gets hurt, like there's nothing you can do about that. So, I mean, it's that whole pro and con, what they want in a quarterback, what they're willing to risk. So, who knows?
Yeah, yeah. It's gonna be interesting to see how it plays out. All right, starting off with our first position rankings of the day, we got tight ends. Top 4 guys, in our opinion. This is a loaded class. This is one of those groups that we could have done top 8 with, but yeah, it's a loaded class. There's gonna be, I mean, I think there's probably gonna be 6, about 6
First
taken in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's gonna be a lot. Number 4, we got Darnell Washington from Georgia, 6'7", 264 pounds. Ran at 4.64 at the combine. He reminds me of a Packer named Mercedes Lewis, Big Dog, as we like to call him. The build, what he does, he's a blocker. It's just like Mercedes Lewis. That's his build. The pros, massive frame. He's basically like another lineman. Had a great combine. Not only did he run that awesome 40, but he made some crazy catches too. He was showing off his circus catches. And with that, and you watch the tape, he makes some big time catches too. He knows how to control his body in the air and make those big time catches. And he's just tough to tackle. He's tough to bring down. So the yards after the catch, it's not pretty, but he can do it. He's tough to bring down.
He hurdled. I don't remember what game it was, but he like hurdled a guy clean, got up like 5 feet up in the air, and he's 6'7". Yeah. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. The cons: his footwork when blocking needs some work. Route running, it's not the best. Just big frame. It's tough to move. His combine speed doesn't really show up on the field. Doesn't show up on the tape. Like a lot of guys, like you can, and flip flop too. You can run a fast 40, but you could be slow on the field. You can run a slow 40, you could be fast on the field. Like Devontae Adams ran a 4.6.
But he doesn't seem it on the field, yeah.
No, he's like a 4.4, right? So take that how you want it. What do I think? I think he's going to be a day 2 guy. Don't see him going in the first round. He just doesn't have that receiving threat. If he did, he's probably a first-round guy. I think he's going to be a good player. Nothing special. I don't think he's going to be a Pro Bowl or anything just because of that receiving threat. He's going to be a solid player just like Mercedes Lewis was in the league. He's going to block. He's going to have 3-4 catches a game. They're going to use him for their running game. And who do I like? I like the Packers for him in the second round. And I said that because we need a tight end. Mercedes Lewis is on his way out. We loved him. He was big time, blocking in that running scheme we have. So let's just go get this guy to replace him. It's almost the same player, just younger. And better in the receiving game by a little bit. Makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I mean you put him out there and he's a six lineman instantly. So like teams have to worry about with him on the field. I know you said his receiving it's not polished in any way, but you put him on the line, teams are gonna have to worry, hey, this guy's either gonna block the crap out of you or he could possibly go out for a route. But I think the great thing with Darnell Washington is all of those cons that you said could be coached up in the NFL. Like those are things that are like they're not cons that are tangible things. Like it's not about his size or anything like that. So these are all things that he can be coached up. And if a good coach gets a hold of him, like the Packers, like they're good organization. They coach up young players. So in the right spot, this guy could turn into a stud. Like you said, you don't see him really doing too much like a Pro Bowl, but he definitely could. Definitely could.
But with that being said, he's not gonna have 100 yards on you. You know what I mean?
No, I don't see it like in no way that.
He's not a big receiving threat. Yeah. He's just not.
I could see him becoming a red zone threat if teams learn to use him right. Like just purely because of his size, because you put him out in the red zone, like that's jump ball territory. But
fade. Yeah,
I mean, it's pure kind of speculation with him, because if he gets coached up well, he could be a great threat. But if he doesn't, then he's just kind of going to be like a run blocking tight end, like you said. So we'll see how he does. I'm definitely think that he's a huge upside as a player, and for the Packers, it's a great pickup if they draft him in the second round.
Yeah, the Packers just make a lot of sense for me, especially if the Aaron Rodgers deal gets done. Mm-hmm. They have 2 second-round picks. Go spend that on a tight end that a position where you need one. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and he's just going to be such a Not that teams are going to be really like account for him and all that. I mean, they will, but in a different way. It's not like, oh, we got to stop this guy, but it's like, hey, I got this guy on the line. Do we have to stack the box? Do we got to
Exactly.
stop the run? Can he just go deep? And hey, he's going to get matched up on a 6-foot safety, and you know, not that he's going to beat him by any means, but he can go over the top on him all day. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be interesting.
At number 3, we got a guy from Oregon State named Luke Musgrave. He's 6'6", 253 pounds. This guy, he's another one of those kind of not proven in college, but his athleticism and his potential are what is like driving up his draft stock. So this guy ran a 4.6 140, and he has just great athleticism all around. Like he's a big dude, and he shows it on the field. Like when he's going out for catches and stuff like that, you can see it. He uses his size well to his advantage. But the thing is, he played 2 games last season, and he's only played 20 games total in his 4 seasons of college. So this guy, in the NFL, if you're not available, that's a liability. Like Zion Williamson in the NBA, like I'm going to use that as reference. Like this guy, Zion has all the talent in the world, but he's not available. So it's not useful. So Luke Musgrave, if he becomes available and he's able to solve that injury history and able to play games, he could be a threat. But right now it's more of a, is he going to be available? Is he not? But he's definitely going to be a good player if he is. So I'm interested to see where he goes. Right now, I think he's going to be a round 2 or 3 pick, probably late second round, mid to late second round, I think. Because I think that's where a lot of these tight ends are going to go. First round is going to be a lot of defensive players, a couple of receivers, maybe a bunch like those quarterbacks that we named before. So I don't see a lot of these tight ends going in the first round. So Luke Musgrave and Darnell Washington are a couple of those guys that, second round is going to be a peak spot for them to be picked. So we'll see. And then at number 2, we have a guy that I love watching his film. Like he's polished in the passing game, but his run game's not really existent. So this guy out of Utah, Dalton Kincaid, 6'4", 246 pounds. He had 8 touchdowns in both the last 2 seasons. So that's instantly right off the bat. Those stats compared to the last 2 guys we've named, right off the board, jump out at you. He's great after the catch. He goes and gets the ball. Like his catch radius will catch anything within, I don't know his reach, but his reach and add a few inches onto that, he'll go up and get the ball. He jumps up for balls to high point them. He's able to run after the catch. He breaks through tackles that if guys hit him in the legs, he's breaking through it. And he also tries to juke. Sometimes his jukes aren't the most polished things in the world. Most tight ends aren't, He's not Travis Kelce. He's not going to spin, move, or juke a guy out of his cleats. But, this guy's able to run after the catch. And that's what teams want in a pass-catching tight end. But the cons are, really, like I said, he's not the best run blocker in this draft. Like the number 1 guy John's about to talk about, that guy can do it all. This guy cannot. He's a pass-catching tight end. He's a pass threat, but I don't see him on an NFL team going out there for run plays and blocking the crap out of an NFL D lineman or a linebacker or anything like that. So I'm interested to see what teams see in this guy, if they're able to coach him up blocking-wise, because he does have a big frame. If he can turn that around, he'll be great for a team. But I see him right now as a day 2 pick, early second round, late first round possibly. It depends on kind of where those tight ends start falling.
First.
Yeah, I think
late first.
Late first is good. Would be good for him. That's like the high stock for him, and then the low stock would be early second round. So I'm interested to see where he goes, but I think this guy could be great in the pass threat. So I'm interested to see whatever team he lands on, how his fantasy value is.
Yeah, but I'm just gonna add to it. I think he's definitely got the best hands in the draft, right? And I don't think the blocking thing's that big. I think, you would love it if this guy could catch, can run after the catch, can block too, because that's everything. That's awesome. But so many tight ends in this league today, like they don't block. They're just another big receiver out there. Yeah. You know what I mean? Which isn't a big deal. And when you're the best receiving tight end in this draft, I mean, you're going to be, the number 1 tight end on a lot of boards. You know what I mean? So the blocking is not too much of a big deal. I mean, of course, you would love someone who could do it all, but I think he goes late first round. I wouldn't be surprised with a team like the Bengals.
Yeah, a team that needs that guy for Joe Burrow to down the seam. That's a great asset.
Athletic guy who can catch. Yeah, number 1, Michael Mayer, from Notre Dame, 6'4", 249 pounds. ran a 4.7 at the combine. He reminds me of Jason Witten. The pros. He does it all.
Yeah, jack of
Like
all
he does
trades.
it
Yeah,
all, right? He's a good blocker. He knows how to move up to the second level. Um, Great NFL build, perfect size, makes contested catches. He's gonna be QB's best friend. Like really, he's gonna do it all. He's gonna block for you. He's gonna get open. He's gonna catch the ball. He's gonna make some tough catches. He knows how to find the spot in the soft zones. Settle down. And, get open for his QB. The cons, there's very few, but needs to work on his route running, just getting out of breaks, kind of a little stiff, a little slow sometimes. And then his run after the catch isn't the best. He's kind of more like a
he's
possession
a
guy.
stockier build than
Yeah,
Dalton and other guys.
yeah, yeah. And then of course, I mean, you can always be a little better with the blocking, but
Hmm.
for him, not really. Because when you look at a lot of these tight ends in this class, not a lot of not a lot of them can block. So, and he's definitely one of the better ones. So that's huge, and it's gonna be big in this league. He's gonna be an awesome player. I think he's gonna be a Pro Bowler. Um, you know, throughout his career, he's gonna get some. He's a first round talent in my eyes. Tough to see where he goes. I think it's tough to say. I don't know. Does he get taken top 15? I don't think
I think
so.
it's second half of that first round.
Top 20 maybe, or late first round. Teams that I like the Cowboys.
Yeah,
I like the Lions. Lions with their second pick at 18. I like the Chargers at 22, and then late Bengals. I even saw some mock drafts of the Saints taking him.
yeah.
Never know.
Some Saints picks. I've seen them picking some tight ends, but I don't see it happening in the first round. So I don't think Michael Mayer is going to be available.
Yeah.
But
Another one too, Packers. As a Packer fan, I wouldn't take him at 15.
yeah,
If we traded back, got another second into the 20s, and we took him, I wouldn't be mad at that pick. He fills a need. He does it all. But the Packers tight end first round, I don't see it.
yeah. It's not
If
like
they
your
go
first
receive
need.
first round, yeah. I mean, we need a receiver, but that's JSN if we get one.
Yeah, it's not a tight
Tight
end.
ends are so and tight ends are so deep in this class too that get one in the second round with one of your, 2 picks probably 'cause with the Rodgers trade. I think that's be great. But Michael Mayer is going to be an awesome player in this league for a long time.
Yeah, and before we end this segment, one guy that, like we said, this class is it's such a deep draft class that like there's guys from across this from day 1 to day 3 that could be valuable to a team. And one guy that I want to mention that we could end up seeing being hit in day 3 mid rounds, probably 5th, 6th round, is Zach Kuntz out of ODU, Old Dominion. He's 6'7", 255. This guy ran a 4.55 40, had a 40-inch vert, and he had 23 on the bench. Like this guy, like as 6'7", who can jump that high, that's an instant red zone threat. If a team can coach him up, he's not going to be. He's went to ODU. It's not a huge school. It's not like this guy is an instant draft stud. Like it's not. He's going to need development. But this is a guy that at 6'7" has that speed, vert, and athleticism, and the strength and 23 bench reps. He can do a lot for a team. So I'm interested to see what he can do as a red zone threat, especially. We'll see where he lands. I'm interested to keep an eye on him. All right, guys, our last segment of the day, we're just going to run through really quick. We got 4 names for the linebackers who we think are going to be solid guys in this year's draft, but we really weren't blown away with this linebacker draft class at all. All these guys are kind of similar where they're going to land in the draft. None of them are like 100% studs. Like we're not going to say instantly any of these guys are first-round picks because they're not. We don't think there's any linebackers first rounds. So these guys just kind of second round, third round, maybe 4th round picks that we think
day 2, day 3
hit.
guys.
I think they're going to be good wherever they land, but they're not going to be any name that where you hear on draft night, everyone's going to be celebrating that they landed this guy. Like it's not going to be a huge pick. So first on the list, we got Trent Simpson from Clemson. Do-it-all kind of guy like Isaiah Simmons. I think John, you might know more about him, but he's pretty solid.
Yeah. Jack Campbell, number 2 from Iowa.
And then we got Dorian Williams from Tulane. And then the last guy, John, you got him.
Henry Toa from Alabama.
Yeah, and I mean,
Toa.
keep your eye on these guys. None of them are really insane, like we said. We don't really see them any being instant impacts or huge impacts for these teams, but keep your eye on them. They're going to be valuable.
This linebacker class is not good.
Yeah, so that's why we definitely want to hit tight ends for you guys first, because tight ends is going to be a huge draft class this year. Linebackers are like one of the bottom of the barrel draft classes this year, so we're not discounting these guys by any means. Like, they're not trash players, but they're not as appealing as the other draft classes for positions. So.
Yeah, Trenton Simpson's going to be a good player, but
yeah, and I mean, like I said, I could see him being like an Isaiah Simmons kind of guy. You can do everything around the box. Like, I mean, Isaiah Simmons didn't end up being as huge of a hit as teams wanted him to be. Like, on the Cardinals, he hasn't been as huge, like, as an impact. But, this is the kind of guy that could be. So Trenton Simpson, great appeal. Wherever he lands, they're going to land a great, like, all-around kind of guy.
Versatile linebacker who they can move around. Yeah, Toa will be cool to see on the back of a jersey.
Yeah. I've seen a couple. So the Saints might need a linebacker. We lost Caden Ellis. I've seen Dorian Williams go into them in like the third, fourth, maybe not really the fifth. I don't see him going that late, but Henry Toa as well. I've seen both of them being mocked there in the late second, third round, or in the late day 2, early day 3. So let's see.
Yeah, Packers don't really have a need at linebacker, so yeah, I don't see us taking one early, especially in the first 2 days.
Yeah, I mean, once teams get into like that day 3, late day 3, like, it's kind of just best player available. Like, if they see a guy that like they want,
or if you
land him.
Or if you really like the upside.
Yeah,
the upside's really good. Take the chance, but
yeah. And all right, guys, before we end this episode, we just got recent news because we are reporting this basically instantly as it came out. We just recorded right after we heard the news of the Dan Snyder deal with Josh Harris. There's also recent news that there's a new guy, or not new, but a competitor with Josh Harris from Canada, whose name is, let me find it, Steve Apostopoulos, I think. So really there's a competition still going on with the sale of the Commanders, but for all Commanders fans out there, the sale is happening. Like, that's basically what's happening right now.
That's the bottom line. It's going
to happen within the next month. I bet between the next month, maybe a month and a half, it's going to happen. Commanders fans, you can celebrate. So there you go.
Draft news too?
Oh, yeah. And I mean, CJ Stroud, there's also news. So he is going on a visit to the Panthers, like we were discussing. CJ Stroud and Bryce Young were the two guys, number one. We said how CJ Stroud was the Panthers' number 1 pick, but right now it's kind of seeming like Bryce Young is. So this visit for CJ Stroud is being reported as just kind of a courtesy. They're going there just to kind of chum it up. But everyone thinks that Bryce Young is still going to be that number 1 pick. So we'll see.
But Panthers' last 2 QB meetings with CJ and Will Levis.
Yeah.
So Will Levis sneaks into that 1 spot. Never know.
Never happening. If they draft Will Levis, I'll be so happy as a Saints fan. You guys are a bum.
That'd be crazy. Now, it seems like Bryce Young's locked. So with that being said, thanks for listening. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Jenks Hammer Pod. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube at Jenks and Hammer Podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, please make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. If you agree, disagree, we want to hear your takes. Thank you. Have a good one.
See you guys.
Thank you for tuning in to the Jenks and the Hammer podcast. Remember to leave a review and follow all of our social media pages at Jenks Hammer Pod for more content. Until next time, who dat and go Pack Go.